Welcome to Insights in Touch, the podcast where industry insight meets meaningful conversation. Hosted by Kristin Thorne, this series, presented by iFraud Foundation, explores the real issues facing the property and casualty insurance world. It's the pulse of an industry under pressure and the voices working to protect its future. Stay informed, stay connected, stay in touch. Now, here's your host, Kristin Thorne.
On this edition of the Insights in Touch podcast, I have here, and thank you so much for joining me, the Commissioner of Nassau County Consumer Affairs, Rick Capece. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So, Rick, first of all, we need to get a lot of messages out to people today in Nassau County and beyond, anyone who does work in Nassau County. So you and I talked about a few things. One thing I think we should start with is the fraudulent documents. What are you guys seeing coming through, and what is your concern?
Well, what we see coming through is some contractors are not getting the proper insurance. They're not properly insured. There's a thing called a certificate of insurance that lists everything that the contractor is covered for. And what they do is sometimes they don't insure themselves for like roofing, siding. These are things that the insurance rate is higher for. Of course, roofing, you're on a roof, you could fall off, and all sorts of other things. And they're actually getting documents and they're altering them. With the computers and everything else, they could actually make a copy. They cross it out. They do another font. We find a lot of different things. But more importantly, with workman's compensation, that's a New York State form. And by the way, if you give a government agency, in New York State anyway, if you give a government agency a fraudulent document, it's an e-felony. So we prosecute them as felonies. With workman's comp, that's the New York State Insurance Fund, is actually Department of Taxation and Finance. That ensures that workers at a site, if they're hurt, the contractor has the proper insurance. And it's really a shame because some of these good workers are in good faith working for someone. They don't have the proper insurance. And when they go to the hospital to get medical care, it's discovered they don't have the proper coverage. And then the district attorney will get involved, or the attorney general, or the inspector general of New York State, and they'll go and prosecute and heavily fine the contractor. But getting back to my concern is the consumer. If someone doesn't have the proper insurance that they hired, they're responsible. They're going to be sued also. That's
very scary.
Yes.
Now tell me, seeing these forged documents, people using the computer to say they have insurance when they don't, is this a new thing, a new trend?
We've seen in the last 4 years, I believe, an uptick in this. I don't know in years past. I think it wasn't really looked at as closely. I started here in 2022, and I come from a law enforcement background. So I look at these documents and things very seriously. And we have an excellent employee that's very good at detecting fraudulent documents. They'll see the fonts a little different. What's really great is New York State now on workman's compensation, they will actually give you a little barcode, and we can scan it and find out if that's the proper insurance to the proper people. So it's really good.
Do you think one of the reasons is how hard it is to get insurance now in New York? I mean, a lot of insurance companies have left. I don't know if you have any insight into why this may be happening.
I have no knowledge of companies. A lot of companies are leaving New York. But I think a lot of the contractors are doing it for personal gain. By that, I mean, they're paying less in premiums. Instead of spending $12,000 or $24,000 in premiums, they'll say they do the minimal, they'll do light carpentry. That's a couple of thousand. So it's pure financial greed.
What do you recommend to homeowners if they have someone doing work on their property? They can ask for this certificate, and then can they verify it with you? How can they make sure this is accurate?
Well, one of the things, no matter, I don't know where the broadcast goes, how far out, no matter what state you live in or wherever, go to your municipality and check to make sure they're licensed by that municipality. Then another thing we tell homeowners when I do presentations out in the field, take your cell phone, take a picture of their car or truck or whatever they came with, take a picture so there's a license plate, and take a picture of the person in the home. This way that person could be identified. Then you have to ask them, are you insured? Are you insured for this work? Are you licensed? If they say yes, and then they find out, they look in Nassau County, the easiest way is to go online, Nassau County Department of Consumer Affairs, and go to look up contractors. You put in the contractor's name of the company, and it'll come on screen if they're with us, or if they are with us, what they're insured to do. And this way you could tell. Now, if someone lied and tells you they're insured and they're not, that could be a big red flag that this is not a genuine person. This is not an honest person. And let me say, I'm not trying to paint all contractors bad. There's a lot of really good people out there, but it's the bell curve. You got good people and you got bad people. So it's just something they should do. That should be the biggest red flag. If they're lying, if they don't have a professional type contract with certain things, you have the right to back out of a contract within 3 working days. Make sure there's a clear estimate, a start date, a finish date, all these type of things. If it's on a piece of paper, that's really another red flag that you don't want to deal with this person. And if they start telling you, you don't pay taxes on work done. They start telling you, well, if you give me cash, you won't have pay taxes. That's a red flag because you don't pay taxes on that. The contractor pays the taxes on the materials he buys, but not on his work. So if it's a $10,000 job in New York State, I'm not sure what our tax rate is. What's it, about 30%? No, I'm not teasing. It's about 8.5%, 9%. That shouldn't be on the bill.
Right.
So that's a red flag. That means my father used to use a word, a chiseler. That's someone who's trying to chisel you. It seems small. It's not a big deal, but that's an indication of, past behavior. Could be an indication of future behavior. So on your job, they're a chiseler and they're cutting these corners. What corners are they cutting on your job?
And the DA is starting to take these things really seriously.
Yes, our DA takes it very serious.
Yeah.
And we have a very good relationship with them. Like I said, we're not an enforcement agency. We're a regulatory agency. So we rely on them to do the enforcement. Unfortunately, I can't put cuffs on people anymore.
Right.
But we let the other people do it, the DA's office. And they're very good at it.
Yeah. So staged accidents, I know this was sort of new to you. Tell me about how you heard about it, what your reaction was when you heard about it, and what your concerns are.
We have a board that meets at certain times of the year, which is made up of people contractors, good contractors. We vet them. They're the ones that are good people. And we have meetings to discuss latest trends, what's going on, different things. And they brought up this staged accident thing. And my mindset was staged accidents were car accidents, where a car will pull in front of you, you hit them in the back, and all of a sudden they can't walk. This is almost the same concept, but it's on a job site. Someone will fall, they'll go to there'll be the worker, and a lot of times it's workers that could be undocumented or not savvy, and they'll say, listen, fall down, you come to our doctor, sign off all these papers, we'll do surgery on you. They could be perfectly healthy. They'll put a false knee, a replacement knee, and we'll give you $10,000. Meanwhile, the organized crime people behind this are getting $250,000, $500,000, $600,000 for the extent of the accident. But the worker, although the worker is complicit because they agreed to do this, but they're doing it for to them, $10,000 is the world. So it's really exploiting workers, and it's causing our insurance rates to go up. I don't know, you look at your insurance bill for your homes lately, or your cars, it ain't cheap anymore. It's gone up drastically. And I think that's part of the reason that they're doing all these fraudulent type things.
And so that's what these contractors told you, that they're witnessing and experiencing
Yes.
these
Yes,
claims.
they're getting sued, and sometimes the way these people, one of our members actually brought in a group to explain this, that are fighting this, and they said it's the site manager or the job guy or someone else will say they didn't get hurt that bad, and it's just like the auto accident, my neck, I can't walk, and all that other stuff. It's the same type of principle, but on a different scale, but it's still doing the same thing. It's hurting us, the consumers, and, people pay for insurance.
Are you now keeping a closer eye on this? I mean, are you still hearing from these contractors? I know you're not in a regulatory function, but, how do you plan on monitoring this?
Well, we have a relationship with the district attorney's office and also with the inspector general's office. In New York State, it's semantics. Each state is different, but our inspector general for New York State works with the New York State Workmen's Compensation Fund. So if we hear of anything or if they hear of anything, we're in communication. We will not do anything about it. We'll refer it to them because they're besides, they're a regulatory agency, but they're also an enforcement agency, so they can take action.
I know you deal with a lot there in the Department of Consumer Affairs. This is a very, is this sort of one of the more convoluted between the fraudulent documents, the staged accidents? I mean, there's just a lot going on here.
Yes, there is a lot. And unfortunately, in my office, we do different things. Besides contractors, we do weights and measures. We measure scales in supermarkets, if something's weighed. We measure gasoline to make sure you get a true gallon and you get the right octane. We have that division. We have taxi and limousines. We have complaint division. We have investigators that take consumer complaints, not necessarily dealing with home improvement, but it could be a complaint, I got ripped off here or there. We do that. So we're pretty busy. But like I said, we really try to steer people to the right agency to help them. In other words, if it's something to do with a credit card, a banking, we don't do that. It's New York State Banking Authority. So we'll push them there. If it's something that if it's something to do with, we've had a few cases of fraudulent beauty schools. In other words, in New York State, you must be licensed to do certain procedures, cut hair, but also that they do that abrasion and they do all sorts of other stuff.
Micro needling.
All that stuff. So what they do is these schools are popping up and they're taking advantage once again of new citizens or illegal citizens, and they're paying money and their license is nothing. It's fraudulent because the school's fraudulent. We don't take care of that. That's New York State Department of Health. So we do referrals to stuff like that. But home improvement is the bulk of our work.
If somebody, I want to go back to this idea of the fraudulent insurance documents. So let's say somebody, they hire somebody, they show them a certificate. How can they verify it? I mean, if it's fraudulent, can they contact you? How do they figure out if it's legitimate?
Well, the best thing is to call us to see if they're a legitimate insurance company. Sometimes what they do with the fraudulent documents, they give us one document, they give the consumer another. So they should make sure whatever document they have that it matches what they're insured for. But the only way we really we can tell, we have approximately 10,000 licensed contractors in Nassau County. I can't possibly check every one. So we do spot checks, we do random checking, and then we have a really good employee. She really looks and she spots this font. You can see sometimes it's not straight across, it's a little crooked or something's wrong right away. Then we call the insurance company. Is this person insured? They'll say yes or no. If yes, what are they insured for? So that's how we check. I can't do it on 10,000, but I
No.
do it on some.
That's a good tip though. So you can go in and look, obviously, yes, people can't bombard you with all of these verifications, but they can go in and look. So they'll use different insurance companies. All right. So they can go in and check that way. Well, that sounds like a great employee that you have too. You definitely don't want to lose that person.
We've nicknamed her Nancy Drew.
Oh, I would say so. I mean, it's just fantastic. And I'm sure I tell people, when they're investigating fraud to make it your own detective true crime work. And
Yeah.
you'll have a lot of fun doing it because it can be a mystery.
The
So,
more work they do, not a consumer, someone a consumer who's hiring a home improvement, a contractor, the more they do, the better off they are. Because like I said, look for those red flags. Past behavior is an indicator of future behavior. If they're lying about something, their contract is shoddy, that could be they're not up to snuff.
right. And so, yeah, if you start seeing those red flags, then maybe you need to ask for the certificate of insurance and start doing all those things. Because if you get that funny feeling, you're
Exactly.
probably right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
But Rick, I think what's so scary is that what we really want to make sure people understand, and then you as the head of this department, if your contractor is not properly insured and something happens to a worker, whether it's fake or not, you can be held responsible, the homeowner, for that injury.
Yes, if the contractor is not properly insured or doesn't have the workman's compensation. Yes.
That's really scary.
And you have insurance cover. Your homeowners will cover some of it, but maybe not all of it. But even if they cover that part of it, that's what causes our rates to go up.
Yeah. On this note, any closing thoughts for people about what you're seeing, at least as it pertains to this, the fraudulent documents, staged accidents?
Well, I think you just mentioned a few minutes ago. If you get a gut feeling, something, the hairs on the back of your head, follow up on that. Don't just let it go. And if someone, there's a friend of mine, he did great work for me. Might have done great work there, but you got to worry about your work. And you have to really check them, talk to them. Like I said, take a picture. So that indicates to them that you're someone who's on the ball, and just look at that contract. And if you have any doubts, call your local consumer affairs or whatever regulatory agency you have in your jurisdiction where you live, and make sure they're properly insured, but more important, that they're licensed. And there's a lot. I had a statistic that someone said for every licensed contractor, there's 4 unlicensed. I don't know if that's true or not. It could be, though. That's what's scary.
Yeah. Well, let's dig into that just a little bit. I mean, you feel, now, I mean, you're seeing a lot of this as of late. So I'm sure it's giving you sort of this uncomfortable feeling that, I know you said before you have 10,000 licensed contractors in Nassau County. You probably have a lot more contractors who are, and not, I'm saying more than 10,000, but I'm sure often you think about who else is out there doing work that I don't know about.
Correct. And another tip to a homeowner, if someone comes in a beat up truck, I'm not making fun of beat up trucks, but that should be an indicator. When you go to a doctor's office or a dentist, they're doing work on you. If you go to an office and it's dirty, and their dental or doctor tools are laying around, and so I'm going to leave. That should be an indicator. If someone shows up and they're in a dirty, beat up truck, and
without the name on the side.
Right,
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a red flag. I'm not saying they're bad, but it should make you do a little deeper dive. Don't be complacent. What happens is a lot of consumers are very anxious to get the work done. So they grab the first person they can. And that's the problem. And if someone, number one, if they want a lot of money up front, that's a red flag. Tell them to leave. The rule of thumb that a lot of contractors tell us is usually it's according to the job, a real big job, it's on a schedule. And there should be a payment schedule in the contract. But if someone wants, let's say it's redoing a room and stuff, comes to $12,000 and they want $10,000 up front, that's a problem. It's usually a third. They want $3,000-4,000 for materials. That's okay. But make sure it says in the contract, materials to be shipped to your address.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
you're not stuck with that, because a lot of contractors ship it to their office and then you never see it. They just walk off the job.
Right. Oh my gosh, all of these things. Well, look, Rick Capece, Commissioner of the Nassau County Department of Consumer Affairs, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you.